Welcome to You Make the Difference. I'm Wanda Walker, and I have as my guest today Ilya Baltus. And Ilya is with the DASH program here in LaGrange, and she serves as the home ownership manager for DASH. Ilya, tell us what DASH means and its mission.
Well, the mission of DASH is to be the catalyst for community revitalization, and we want that to transform the lives of not only families but individuals. And we do that by giving people options of dependable, affordable, sustainable housing, DASH.
Yes.
And also community leadership is a very important part of what we do and stuff. But that kind of gives people what to remember that what the DASH means.
Yes.
And stuff.
And then Ricky Wolf was the founder of DASH, and Ricky is the chairman of our county commissioners.
Yes.
And we're so glad that he had this vision for DASH because it has really improved our community.
Yes.
Tell us what you do for DASH, Ilya.
Well, my job is to develop, implement any home ownership and manage any home ownership program. So along with that, I developed a curriculum, and I also do the home buyer workshops, education. We do individual counseling for our clients. So our goal is to make them stable, in their financial situation. And if their dream is home ownership, we do that also for them.
Well, DASH started in the Hillside area, didn't it?
Yes.
Tell us the role that DASH played in the renewing of the Hillside area.
Okay. Well, in 2013, DASH identified Hillside as our target neighborhood, and they began to purchase substandard housing that had vacant landlords on them. So, and of course, with the city granting DASH redevelopment authority status, and also working with them to better the infrastructure of everything. So then after that, we began to build and to sell houses, and mostly to first-time home buyers.
Yes.
In the neighborhood. So that was very important.
And beautified that neighborhood.
Yes.
I mean, it's remarkable. The homes that were there were revitalized, and then a new community was built, or a new area for people to rent or to buy.
Well, both.
Okay.
So we did building and and renting, but our beginning focus was to rebuild those houses. So they took them down to the studs, and they rebuild them again. What DASH says, to make them sustainable.
Yes.
So sustainable could be energy, could be, we had a lot of people, and you hear it all the time, that may say, well, I'm renting a house for $500, but my electric bill is $800.
Yes.
So we rebuild them to make them sustainable also.
Yes. And what is the primary focus of DASH?
Well, we've just had our 5-year strategic plan, and so we do focus on a couple of areas, and one is real estate development. One of it is, again, it's the neighborhood revitalization. So and everything kind of goes into those. So in the real estate development, and we talked about rental units, and so our goal is to provide a balanced properties of single family, multifamily houses. So some of them, will be Wilburn, the Dunson properties, Laurel Ridge, and also Stony Ridge, which is coming up.
Okay, and where will Stony Ridge be?
Now, Stony Ridge will be in Hogansville.
Okay.
And that is a 55-unit. There'll be 1 bedroom to 3 bedrooms. And I know that you had asked me about that before, so I got you some information. Some of them. So the 1 bedrooms will run between $307 and $360. They'll kind of have that range. 2 bedrooms, $350 and $430, and the 3 bedrooms is $394 to $524. So you're going to have a mixture of those two, which is great.
Yes. So is that the first time that DASH has reached out past LaGrange to do a project?
Yes. And we will be doing one in West Point. We don't have all the information, but that'll be coming up too. So that is in the works also.
Yes.
The Stony Ridge, it'll begin construction this year. And then the completion date is estimated in 2014, around May, with the rent up being around August. So that kind of gives you an idea. Of course, things can change. Things can always change and stuff. So.
All right. So tell us a little bit more about the relationship that DASH has with the Hillside community. They didn't just go in and restore the houses.
Yes.
and put up new houses, they actually formed relationships with the people who live there, right?
We did, and one of the things is we work closely with the residents because we want them to start building an asset-based community. And what that means is we're going to encourage them to have an active participation in their community. So we want them to implement programs. So we kind of were there. So community outreach is a really important thing to Dash. And so Ben Wheeler, does that, and he's always working with all kinds of different ideas and stuff to do with them. But our goal is to have them spearhead that. And so some of them may be after school programs, they might be teen mentoring, there might be soccer teams, and maybe they, events like holidays or social events. You want them to own that community because that's what's going to keep that community revitalized is, you don't want somebody else telling you how to run your community.
Right.
And so we want them, and they're doing that really well. There's, they're taking that ownership of what they do.
Yes. And so now tell me about housing rehabilitation offered through Dash.
Yes. Now we currently have different programs that offer housing rehabilitation, which is home repairs, and that depends on the different fundings and the different sources. So there's different eligibilities for that. For each one of them, but there's some basic requirements for that you might have across the board, and basically that they have to be owner occupied.
Yes.
So the owner has to live in that house. It can't be an investment property, or maybe the house is sitting there by itself and they're not living in it. They do have to be low income, and that's usually HUD defined is what we hear a lot. And normally there's like 50% of the area median income. And the area median income is HUD defined for Troup County is $50,200 right now.
Okay.
It changes every year. They'll
All right,
send
is
us
that for a
out.
family of four, or is that?
It's different families. That is the medium income, and then what we do, HUD also looks at people in the household.
Okay.
So, for example, the area medium income period is $50,200. Then we may be looking at, are you 30% of that, or are you 50% of that, and how many people are in your home? And then we'll see if they fit into that 50%. So a lot of those are 50% of the area medium income, and for Troup County. And so of course they have to be located within the Troup County area.
Okay.
So their home has to be located. So there's different programs in that, different criteria. And so if somebody wants to call, they can call Christina Von Chesterman, and her number, and can I give a number?
Yeah, sure.
It's 706-298-0588. Yes.
Yeah, so Dash really got up and going in the Hillside community in 2003.
Yeah.
So can you give us an idea of how many rental or single family homes that Dash has either revitalized or newly constructed?
Well, we have a variety of quality, affordable housing options, either in new construction or in the rehabilitation. We've done 310 single-family homes and the development of more than 350 new rental units. That's across the board.
Yes.
So that kind of gives you an idea of what has been done, I guess, overall.
About 660.
So, yes.
Yes, which is amazing, isn't it?
It is.
I mean, we're so fortunate to have Dash here. I mean, I am so thankful. Now, with the counseling that you provide, you didn't start off with that, but it eventually there was a need that was seen. And so tell us how home owner counseling became a part of Dash.
How we started the housing. Okay. Well, Dash was revitalizing the neighborhoods, but it didn't take them long to realize that you can't just build homes.
Yes.
Yeah, we realized that you have to revitalize the people. The people have to be revitalized so they can become financially fit, financially secure. Otherwise, those are the people we want to move into those homes and purchase those homes and become part of that community. And if it's their dream of home ownership, then we're going to help them do that too.
Right.
So in 2004, Dash merged with NHS, and that's where I came from. Neighborhood Housing Services
Okay.
of LaGrange, and so that I know that they were here since the 80s, I guess, late 80s.
Okay, now who are they, Ilya?
Who is Neighborhood Housing
Yes.
Services? They were a housing counseling agency,
Okay.
and so that's what they did. They did do. They were not noted as a neighborhood revitalization. They did not do that, though they did do some rehabbing
Okay.
projects here in LaGrange. And they had been here, but so we merged in 2004, and we offer the counseling. We do one-on-one counseling, and we also offer the education for financial counseling. So, and we do them to assist that not only to, like, if they want to be a homeowner, but also to get renters. We want them to have a stable financial. Anytime you have a stable community financially, then it's going to prosper. So that's what we brought to Dash. Of course, it's changed in a lot. Dash has brought a lot of wonderful new things to it, but that's basically the part that I do.
All right, and
in
how
Dash,
many
so.
people in Troup County have received that counseling since you started?
Altogether, I think that we have done in the housing counseling and education, we have counseled over 1,120 low-income people and helped them to achieve that financial stability or home ownership. One of those two. So that's a big number that that continues to grow.
Yes.
So,
and so, why is financial and home buyer education important?
Well, I think that after the aftermath of the foreclosure, the foreclosure, we realized increasingly that how important it is, especially with the foreclosures.
Yes.
With the foreclosures, they realized the numbers were so big that what is it that homeownership education brings? Well, a couple of things. It brings a decrease in mortgage default rates. But another thing it brings is an increase in consumer spending power.
Yes.
So if you're having more money and you're making a plan, you got to have a plan for your money, and you're what money I have some money to save, or I'm willing to maybe change some stuff that I'm doing, maybe habits, and I'm going to have more money to save, and I'm paying my bills and doing my responsibility. You're going to have more spending power.
Yes.
So that helps the whole economy. When you think about it, it helps the whole economy and everybody's happier. Your community's going to be happier.
Yes. I mean,
the
people that you're helping are going to be a lot less stressful, aren't they? And
they are.
Their quality of life is going to go up
Right.
if they can manage their finances.
And there is, because stress has a lot to do with it. I'll tell them, you're not going to have that stress if you do your budget at the beginning of the month and you realize, hey, I've got enough money to pay my bills this month. And then if you follow it, of course, then you're no longer all stressed out. And I heard that one, and I don't know if you were there, but we had in circles this one lady that came, and she was talking about mediation. But she spoke about the number of people that were in Walmart, that she said that a big percentage of them were actually having anxiety attacks.
Oh, yes.
Well, they were at Walmart.
Yes.
That just hit home to me, because it's what you teaching is, why are you there? And I am there and I'm having this anxiety. Am I there because I'm having this anxiety attack, or am I really there because I need to buy something?
Yes.
And so therefore that again is the changing of our habits and being aware. It's I'm going there and I remember her. I'll say, did I get a list? Am I really wanting this, or am I just in here?
Yes.
And stuff. So that really kind of makes you think.
And then also at
what you're
Walmart, you
doing.
see all those things that you might need and might not have the money
Yes.
to buy.
And if you're stressed, you're going to get.
Yes.
That's why you're going to get.
And then
it.
also, there's so much in Walmart that you end up picking
Yes.
up so many things that by the time you get to the register, you're thinking, "Oh my gosh, how did I spend this much money?"
You do.
Yes.
So if you go in there knowing what amount is it that I can spend this week?
That's
Because
right.
I budgeted so much a month, and maybe I've divided it. Maybe this is what I can spend. But I think when we're in there, we're not armed with that.
Right. And
So-
go with a list. This
Yes.
is what I really need, and this
Yes.
is what I'm really going to get, and
Yes,
don't
exactly.
come off of that list.
Exactly.
And you talk about debt a lot, and one thing that you say is debt is a symptom that it's not the problem. Can you talk about that some?
Yes, I think it's kind of a really a new financial capability that we're across. When I say we, the housing counseling world, I guess,
Yes.
is that we realizing that debt is not a financial problem. And that comes with, we're assessing people's, not only their ability to willingness when they come to our program. Are you willing to do what it needs to take? So, I mean, it's hard to believe when somebody says that, you're like, what?
Yes.
You know, are you kidding me? So continuing to increase somebody, if you're increasing your debt, that probably says more about you than your financial situation does. What's going on. So if you're changing your habits, that's going to help you to understand and also defeat that debt.
Yes.
But so that's what people will say that they don't believe that. That's something, it's really kind of a new area we're getting into. So, and we're thinking, okay, it's actually a personal problem that's masquerading as a financial problem. So that's why so many people, if you found, in spite of their efforts, so in let's say the foreclosures, Obama has a lot of wonderful programs out there, the HAMP, the HARP, the HAF, all those kind of programs that help people. So many options to help them not to foreclose, and they were great, and wish that more people were taking advantage of a lot of them. But a lot of them did, and they got back on their feet. Now we're wondering, how come you're back there again?
Yes.
You're back in the same situation. Things got good, and now I'm back to the debt. I'm back to not being able to pay it. We looked in the past, and we have, we're working with clients. We're helping them to recreate, reestablish their history. They're saving money, and they're doing good.
Yes.
And then another year later, they're back. They're back in that thing. I really need financial help. I'm back into debt. I'm not able to pay my rent. So we're looking at outward solutions instead of inward solutions.
Yes.
And it's hard for people to really grasp that.
And so the inward problem is that people just aren't willing to live within their financial means. Is that what you're saying?
I think that they're willing to live, even some people are willing, now maybe some aren't, but that would be part of the question. But even if you're willing, because remember they did that. They did what they were supposed to do. But there was an underlying issue somewhere, because as soon as the things got better, they just went right back.
Yes.
They went right back to their old habits, those old spending habits. So we're not dealing with those old spending habits again.
Yeah, and sometimes I think, the financial coming in just isn't enough.
Right.
So that, even if you are managing your money, sometimes it just isn't enough. And so that problem needs to be addressed at that point, right?
Exactly. So
yeah.
Exactly.
And that is an interesting thing that you hear a lot about, that we address symptoms and try to fix symptoms.
Yes.
And not the real problem, because I think lots of times the symptoms are so great that we don't examine what's the real problem behind it.
Yes, yes.
And when we know that, I mean, sometimes we don't even know what the real problem is behind it, the root. And so it's nice when somebody can identify, hey, this is the root, and we need to deal with the root of that problem.
It is and stuff. So I think one of the things is that we ask, so how do we plan that?
Yes.
How do we plan that permanent debt solution? So, so it's going to be critical to define that debt correctly in order to solve it. We can't do it. So we're attempting to solve that with a financial. So very shortly, we're paying it and then it returning really quickly. That's what we're finding. We're paying it and there it is again. So they fail, like you said, to identify the root. So that for that debt solution to be effective, your plan of attack has to be something that's actually going to work.
Yes.
So unfortunately, if you just pay off stuff, they say, okay, well, I'm going to pay it off and I relieve that pain.
Right.
It's kind of like I relieved the pain, but whatever that was lurking underneath there, it really is taking control again, little by little. So it's just coming back.
Yeah.
So kind of like those with 10 steps we could kind of talked about briefly and I think I brought them because I know that we had the steps, we came up with 10 steps, kind of like the AA Anonymous program.
Yes.
Because, of course, our controller, Tom Alvis, had come up with an AA thing one time, and we were just talking like we always do, and we thought, this really is something that everybody could use in everything you do in life. And I said, really? I think that we could.
Yeah.
And so we actually used that and came up with 10 steps.
You want to share those?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, okay.
I came up, and it says the 10 steps of Debtors Anonymous.
Yes.
And we found out we've got to do this, and people have to buy into this to come into our program. They, just like in AA, they have to admit what they are.
Yes.
So number one is I admit that I am powerless over debt, and my finances have become unmanageable, and my way is not working.
Right.
Because, you will get people and you're trying to work where they come in and they don't do it. They'll say, well, I just thought I would do this, and I just thought. So you're still thinking your way is better.
Yes.
And so you're not ready yet. So number two is I came to believe that a power greater than myself can restore me toward financial security if I only believe that. Number three, I came to believe that I cannot do it by myself.
Yes.
And I am ready.
Sometimes we do
Yes.
need help.
Yes.
I mean, really.
And we're not going to get it unless we say that, unless we say, I believe I can't do it by myself, and I'm ready to receive guidance from a professional with the care from God.
Yes.
So that is a powerful, I think the most powerful statement.
Yes.
So I made a searching and fearless moral inventory of my personal spending habits. I admitted to God, myself, and to another human being somewhere that being the exact nature of my wrongs as pertain to my finances. Because if we don't share it with somebody,
Yes.
then we're still going around like we really don't have it.
Right.
But once we share it with somebody,
We own it.
yes. So we have to, and to continue to take that personal inventory of my financial decisions, and when I am wrong, to promptly admit and correct it. Because, and we tell people we're not here to say, look what you did, because we fall.
Yes.
And I had one lady, she came out, she says, I'm so sorry. I did not do my budget, and I slipped, and I backslid, and I spent all this money. And so we're there to help them and get her back up.
Yes.
That's okay.
Yeah.
But that's helping her understand it better, too. And so she did. I
Because
think
we do that sometimes too, don't we?
exactly. We have to understand that, though, if
Yeah.
you don't understand that. So I made a decision to follow my agreed upon work plan, because we do have, just like they do, a work plan in Anonymous.
Right.
To the best of my ability. That's going to be important, too. And so I sought prayer to improve my understanding and knowledge of God's power to carry that out. And number 10 is having had an awakening as the result of these steps to try to carry this process I learned in all of my other affairs. So I think that you have to do it across the board.
Yes.
So I think that that's really a great thing now, because we're making them face that first. And somebody will say, well, I just want to say what you want to do. I'm not really willing yet to do that. It kind of almost brings it out when it didn't bring it out before.
Yeah.
And kind of almost weeds out people.
Yes.
And
that's really having a coach, isn't it? And
yes,
I know lots of times
exactly.
in my life I've thought, I would like to just have a coach.
Yes.
And so it's really nice to have a coach available. And
Yes.
but you do have to be willing, and you do have to be
Yes.
ready for somebody to look into your life and help you with those problems.
Yes. We all
Yes.
need it.
So we're saying that sometimes we mask the problem in order to avoid the real cause of the problem.
Yes. Yes.
And-
I think just like when you get an ache,
Yeah.
the first thing we do is we reach for the medicine,
Yes.
because we assume that medicine is going to take care of it, and sometimes it takes care of it, but sometimes we may have something physically wrong with us worse,
Yes.
so we've just masked it. But if it keeps on, if my arm keeps on hurting, my back keeps on hurting, then I'm going to say, okay, there's something else going on here.
Yes.
I'm going to go seek a professional because something else is going on. So that medicine was just, I just took care of my symptom, but I had that underlying problem with it. So I guess the truth is that it doesn't really, your life is not really dependent on the money you make. It's depending on what you do with the money.
Yes.
That you actually have. So it kind of depends on, are you willing to accept that? So that's going to depend whether you're successful or not. Whether you say, I believe that I've got to change my habits. I believe, and once you're getting the root of it, that's going to really determine whether you're going to be successful or not.
That's right.
Because you have to do that first.
Yes. Now, was this a breakthrough for you as a housing counselor when you realized this?
I think yes, as a housing counselor and all our industry, when we talk and have our meetings and network, is yes, I discovered that I could arm my client with all the financial education. I could, help them with the resources, and information, because we've always preached, and it's still great, knowledge is power.
Yes.
You've got a lot of power when in anything. I mean,
Yes.
if you knew a car was getting ready to come down the road, you'd stop, because you have that power to stop. But if you didn't, you'd go. So knowledge is power. So like everybody else, we thought that was a solution, and that's what we've done. So unfortunately, whether we were successful or the lack of being successful kind of made us realize there's something else going on, and especially when they're trying to track, why are the people back after foreclosure? Why are you in the same situation? So we realized that we have to change people's habits, not only your habits, but your attitude about money, your attitude about spending or overspending.
And thinking.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And so share with me just a little bit about the wealthy people, how they view money, and people who are in debt, how they view.
And I only got 3 of them, but this was so exciting to me because I found this in a magazine, and it really just hit home the different ways. And when you're talking about wealthy, you're not necessarily talking about rich people, but it's people that have their finances under control, that are possibly saving money, as opposed to what in debt clients that are trying to get out of debt. So the wealthy viewed their finances as a self-responsibility. I sit down because I know it's my responsibility to pay my mortgage. It's my responsibility to pay that utilities and all of that. So I'm sitting down and taking care of my responsibility as well as I can, while the other ones view themselves as victims of their finances. And you'll hear it a lot. Well, I don't know why, that wasn't what my bill was. They've added late charges, they've added financial charges, but not real. And so they're the victim, not understanding that they have a right to do that because you didn't pay them.
Yes.
So they don't realize that part. They realize the victim part and stuff. Another one is the wealthy people planned their finances. And so that's why we have those work plans. So they're planning for the future. We're planning everything that we do. This is the money I'm going to spend this month. This is what I'm going to put in my savings. And if something happens, like happened to me, a week ago with brakes, then I'm saying, okay, I didn't expect that. Now I got to cut somewhere.
Yes.
Because I have to balance that and stuff. So in the debt, clients really have no plan. When they come to us, there is no plan.
Yes.
And so once they learn, that's powerful to them to learn. Also, the wealthy delayed gratification as part of your plan. So now I might say that happened to me. Now I can't do what I was going to do. I'm going to have to delay it for another time. Where in debt, they pursued instant gratification.
Yes.
An example of that would be, I had a mother who we just got back into paying utilities, back into getting, and then all of a sudden she didn't come because she was in Florida. And I said, what happened? She said, well, it's spring break.
Yes.
I said, I know it's spring break, but you didn't have the money, but my kids have to go for spring break. So you kind of want that instant gratification no matter what the cost.
Yes.
And stuff. So those are just 3 examples.
Yes, and thank you, Ilya. That's been some wonderful information on DASH, and
It's
also
been fun
some
being
personal
here.
information. And I would just like to say to all those out there, thank you for joining us for You Make the Difference. We'll see you next week.